For us, the creation of the University of Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame. We think it is a great opportunity to celebrate 125-year history of our university's intercollegiate athletic program. We talk a lot about Illini pride. That's been a focus of mine since I came on board in February, and I feel like there's no better way to celebrate that pride than by acknowledging and recognizing the great past that we have here within the athletic tradition at the University of Illinois. It also happens to coincide with the sesquicentennial of our university, our 150-year birthday of the University of Illinois. A great opportunity for our athletic program to contribute to that effort, and really thrilled to be a part of that, and again just to celebrate the incredible legacy and tradition of Illinois athletics. A couple of logistical things related to the Hall of Fame. We do intend for this to become an annual tradition. We will induct a class with each year that passes. We will introduce the inaugural class in full in February of the coming year, 2017. We expect to have a formal dinner event up in Chicago at some point in the summer, likely in June. We don't know where, we don't know what date yet, but it'll be a nice event. We hope to draw hundreds of Illinois fans to attend that, and again to enjoy the Hall of Fame class. We'll then have our formal induction in the fall in conjunction with a football game. We've identified the Nebraska weekend next year as the weekend we'd like to do that. And we'll have probably the induction ceremony itself on Friday night, probably in the State Farm Center. And then we'll do something, of course, at the game itself on Saturday. All those events will be open to the public. We want our fans, our alumni, to be as engaged in this experience as we could possibly make them, and really excited to get them involved. Talk for a minute about the selection process. As you can imagine, with over 125 years of history, there are many people who are very deserving of this opportunity, the opportunity to be honored as a member of our Hall of Fame. We will have a selection committee. We're not commenting on what the composition of that committee will be. We don't know exactly, candidly, who it is yet, but it will represent internal and external stakeholders, so people who have a strong appreciation for our diverse and rich tradition. We do want to keep that committee confidential to protect the integrity of the process. As you can imagine, there are a lot of people who are very invested and excited about the opportunity to be included in the Hall of Fame. We want to give this committee every opportunity to do good work and be as objective in their evaluation as possible. We will be enshrining student athletes, coaches, and administrators. Full criteria, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, is listed on our website. Based on those criteria, and I think this speaks to this tradition that we're so proud of here, is that based on these criteria, who I hope all of you will view and see the high threshold that it sets, we have nearly 1,000 people who surpass those criteria, people who are automatically qualified for consideration in this Hall of Fame. Again, I think that speaks to the incredible tradition, the unbelievable legacy that we have here within Fighting Illini Athletics. We will be inviting public nominations. If people reference that list, we'll have the full list available on our website very soon. If people reference that list and they see omissions, people who have not met those criteria but who they believe still otherwise deserve consideration for the Hall, will invite public nominations through our website. I would ask people to submit those nominations by January 1st for each year's induction class. The inaugural class in particular will be an incredibly difficult undertaking, as you can imagine, trying to take these thousands of athletes, more than a century of great tradition, and come up with a list of the very best. I have no question that there will be people who are very deserving to be in that class who may not make it. We don't know yet what the size of that class or any other class will be. I think it'll be determined year by year. We won't have a fixed number that we're looking to induct each year. We don't have a physical location as of yet. We've been asked that. We do intend to create a physical space for the Hall of Fame, whether that's in the new football project or one of the other facility projects that we're considering remains to be seen, but we certainly do intend to create a physical space for the Hall as we work through our facilities portfolio and come up with the best way to again recognize this incredible opportunity. I want to talk for a minute about Dick Butkus. And of course, we were very happy today to introduce Dick as the first member of our inaugural class. When we first started talking about Hall of Fame, one name came immediately to mind. And I'll tell you a personal story. The first time I ever had the opportunity to meet Dick, I was a member of the football program here. Luke, his nephew, was a classmate of mine, teammate of mine, roommate of mine. And Dick was back in town to watch us play. And after the game, he came along with Monsignor Duncan, his brother Ron, over to our little house on Locust Street, not too far from where we're standing. And I'll never forget, we sat around and listened to Ron and Dick tell stories, which those of you who have had a chance to get to know Dick over the years know that it's not hard to get him to tell a few stories, especially when he's around his brothers. And literally me and Luke and Nick Piazza, who was our third roommate, we kind of sat on the floor in the living room, and it was like sitting at the feet of Santa Claus on Christmas Eve or something. It was one of the most memorable nights of my life. And so there are some surreal moments that come with this job for me, and having the opportunity to stand here and to introduce Dick Butkus to you certainly ranks at the top of that list. He is someone who college fans, athletics fans, football fans certainly needs no introduction. Many people consider him to be the greatest defensive player in the history of football, certainly the greatest linebacker, someone who played the linebacker position so incredibly well that the trophy now that represents the best college football linebacker is given in his name. He's one of two people to have their number retired here from the Illinois football tradition. He is someone I consider to be the greatest living Illini, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our first inaugural member, Dick Butkus.
Thank you. As an 18-year-old, I had to make two of the biggest decisions of my life. That was to marry my high school sweetheart and to attend the University of Illinois. It's been 6 decades later, and I know that I made the right decisions. I guess, there's so much I could say, but I just want to get it across that I am honored and proud that you bestowed this honor on me, and I really totally didn't expect it, but especially to be the first one, I'm greatly humbled. So I'd just like to say thank you, and just like Josh was saying, there's a good number of great Illinois athletes that should be recognized with this Hall of Fame, and finally we'll get that done. So just love to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yes, some questions for Dick?
Yeah, Josh said it's easy to get you to tell stories. Could you talk about how the campus has changed since you were a student here? Some burger joints and bars that aren't here anymore, some that have come?
Well, just driving around the campus today, this morning, going over to the Urbana Country Club, I got lost. I mean, it's high rises. Are you kidding me? We never had them. The only way I got across, to my different classes over by Huff Gym and everything is if I stole a bicycle and rode over there and dumped it off and whatever. But it's just gotten big to me, it seems like. And when I came down here for a first visit as I think it was a sophomore, junior in high school with my brother, they still had the streets with the elms. It looked like a tunnel you're driving through, and of course you had the great elm disease, and so now you got like high rises all over the place. I don't know if, to me it seems like it's getting a little away from the college campus, but that's the way things are now. And we're staying over there at the Hotel, all those new companies all along that way. They used to be where there were a bunch of farms there, and I used to take my foreign students when I was teaching driver's ed. I used to take them out there and drive up the incline going to the barn, with the stick shift and turn the key off, and let them try to start while we're rolling backwards. It's great fun. He's a really good instructor. That's it.
You're in many Hall of Fames. Why is this one special to you?
Well, I think it's probably because this is where it really started. I mean, I could say high school, but really college is where it really begins. I mean, for real. Everybody plays high school, but to make the next step to college, and you know, it's like I guess that's what always kept me after it, is that, okay, so maybe I got along in high school, but now I'm going to big time in college, so I got to start all over to prove myself. And same thing as when you go to the pro level, you start all over and have to prove yourself. And so I was fortunate that I had the ability not to be complacent with where I was at. Always wanted to improve, always could get better. And it's just like, you know, why Illinois in '63 when we went to the Rose Bowl, you know, 2 years prior to that we were 0-15 when we decided to come to Illinois. And it was just great. It seems like nowadays all the kids want to go to Alabama or teams that are, you know, up there all the time. And I think that era where we came to Illinois, Bowski and a bunch of us, we wanted to turn that program around, and we did. And I think we get more out of that than just going to a, you know, a school that's been successful in the past. I believe in turning it around, and that shows you the real capabilities of what kind of a player and what kind of character you have.
Do you think that was a big draw of why you decided to be a part of this now with Whitman, just this idea of turning it around in the program?
Do you mean?
Just the Hall of Fame in general.
Well, yes, you know, a lot of people don't know. I mean, I've had a little history with Illinois. When my brother was here at Nitschke, and there's a lot of great athletes that came from this university. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the last of the Big Ten schools that have started a Hall of Fame. And it's like Josh is saying, we got to get that pride back and let these kids, the recruits, know that, you know, you're going to, quite frankly, a hell of a school and with a great history in athletics. And okay, so we're down a little bit, but we can get it back up there. We all get at it. And with his decisions, with this coaching staff that we have now, with Lovey, and I think we're going to see a big difference coming back here. It rightly should be, because you look back in history, some great people came here, starting with Alice and Big Red. So we got to renew all that and get people back on the program.
What was your first impression of Josh? Did you ever imagine he would become Illinois' athletic director?
Well, yeah, I did. I really had trouble accepting it, knowing that he was my nephew's roommate. But we got over that hump, and I think he's been a great addition, and is going to continue on with the success of all the programs here. When I talked to him the very first time, I just told him in so many words, don't with the golf team. Don't blank with the golf team. So, says he's promised me he won't. So, okay. But we're going to get, you know, he's with this new expansion and everything else, you know, that's what we were just talking earlier this morning. You know, what is really, you know, things have changed since I was, you know, was recruited, and you got to have the facilities, and, you know, and we got to be able to match like the Oregons and Ohio States and Michigan. So in a couple, 3 years, we'll have that. So we'll be getting the players here, and we'll be starting everything anew. And with that, it's you know, something that goes along with the program. You got to have these. I mean, that's what they look at, the facilities, and no way getting around it. So I think we got the coaching staff all in order, and then we'll have the facilities, and then we'll start getting these kids.
Is there a player or athlete or coach or two you would like to see in your class? I mean, somebody you think should be the next person?
Oh, I would. Well, geez, Zupke and Nitschke, Bobby Mitchell. I mean, good luck to that committee. I mean, you know, that's just football. We're talking, you know,
Right.
I mean, we had Olympic athletes this year in the Olympics, and track stars. Oh my, I don't. I'm not. I'm not on that committee, right?
You're not.
Huh?
You're not.
You're not.
Correct.
Yes. Good luck. But it's good. Okay.
Any questions? All right. Josh, you
Thanks for
got any
coming. Appreciate it.
Any questions for Josh before we?
Will you have any other change potentially to the qualifications to account for sports like wheelchair basketball and things that don't totally fall under athletics umbrella? It's kind of, you know, sort of in a little bit of a different area. Are you going to kind of account for that, do you think?
Well, right now we're going to start with the criteria that we've outlined. I think that there certainly is the possibility that we would expand our pool of opportunity as we grow through this process. You know, right now we've got such a backlog of people who have been a part of our varsity athletic program that we're going to spend some time trying to work through that list. But I think that at some point we would be very open to considering different groups, whether it be our athletes with disabilities or potentially teams. And that's another group of people that right now is not contemplated by the criteria, but I could see us at some point broadening to include.
Josh, why now? Why is it important to do this?
Well, I think it's a number of things. I think that, one, I think it's overdue. I think that we have such an incredible tradition within our athletic program, and one of our, I think, strengths, and it's sometimes one of our weaknesses, is I think that we're a little too struck with Midwestern humility, and we haven't done a good enough job at times in telling our own story, and every once in a while puffing our chest out and being proud of who we are and what we represent. And I've said that to different audiences since I came on board 7 or 8 months ago, and I think that the Hall of Fame gives us that opportunity to really be proud of who we are and the foundation that has been built here, because it's an incredible foundation. I would put, as we eventually get into this process and get through our inaugural class and the second class and the third class and the fourth class, that list of people, I would put that list up against anybody's Hall of Fame, because we have had truly some of the best athletes in the world come through our campus, and we're very proud of that group. And so as we talk about building on Illini pride, what better way to do that than with this Hall of Fame, and the timing is just perfect, I think, for that to happen.
Can you give us a number at 10, 20 in that first class? Do you have any idea?
Really can't. I think fewer than 50, probably more than 10. I would say probably closer to 10 than 50, but I don't know exactly where that number will fall. I think it'll likely be, if I were guessing, again, I don't know, if I were guessing, maybe 20 to 30. But you know, we do have a pretty incredible background, and narrowing that list down, as Dick alluded to, is going to be an incredibly difficult proposition.
How much can fundraising help with this? People elected and then give back to the university, and are you hoping to get something in return?
I don't think that's certainly not a driver for us with this project. I think some halls of fame have been created more as a fundraising arm or mechanism. I've been around some of those, a lot of different community halls of fame, different halls of fame that are tied to other efforts. But for us, this is really about celebrating our past, and we want to give our fans an opportunity to participate in that. We'd prefer not to lose a lot of money on the Hall of Fame. It'd be nice to be able to run it and do things the way that we need to without incurring a lot of new expense. But in terms of adding significant dollars to our fundraising total, we may see a bump in our interest, and that would be great, but that's certainly not our driver.
Josh, the Football Hall of Fame was originally scheduled to be part of the South project. Has that changed, or is?
Well, I was very careful. If you look back when we talked about the project, I was very careful when we talked about the South End never to use the term Hall of Fame. I think that we will have some celebration of our football history in this building as we develop the final designs for it. This Hall of Fame that Dick is now a member of is not a memorabilia Hall of Fame. This is really geared toward recognizing the individuals who have performed so admirably for us over the years. And how we ultimately choose to recognize those people really remains to be seen. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. You could have a true hall where everybody is located. You could have places where maybe we recognize them at their respective facilities. So if you're a tennis Hall of Famer, you're at the tennis facility. For a basketball Hall of Famer, you're at the basketball facility. We were at Nebraska a few weeks ago. By the way, we think Nebraska was the most recent Big Ten school to add a Hall of Fame. They did it just about a year ago. But as Dick said, we are the last Big Ten school to take this step. But we were at Nebraska a few weeks back, and they have an outdoor Hall of Fame, which is really interesting and pretty beautiful to walk through. And so there are a lot of different ways we can approach it, and we'll work through that as we have some time here.
Is there a person or two, I asked Dick, is there a person or two you think needs to go on this list right away?
Well, come on, Bob. What do you?
You can
I mean,
answer.
we're not going to play those. We're not going to play those cards too quickly. But
Okay.
we're going to have a great committee, and I will not be a member of the committee.
Okay.
But I do look forward to engaging with the committee, talking with them about the many people we have who deserve recognition in the Hall of Fame. I certainly am not going to stand here and tell you who I think should be in it, but I'm just excited to be able to celebrate the great history we have. And I mean, there are dozens of people who come to mind immediately,
Right.
and we're looking forward to working through that process.
Is this something on that short list that you said when you were hired here that you had thought about and have been processing for a while?
Yeah, it is, and when you watch I did the speech at Follinger Hall earlier in the fall and talked about some of the exciting announcements we thought we would have forthcoming over the course of this semester, and this was one of those. We really are trying to be strategic in building enthusiasm amongst our fans, giving them things to be excited about, and we see this Hall of Fame again as an opportunity to celebrate our past and to continue to build this Illini pride amongst our fans, our alumni. We hope that everybody is as excited about this project as we are, because we think it could be really transformative for our athletic program. Okay.
Anything else for John?